I feel like, yeah, I lost some of my strength. I kind of look the same though.
Well, you look better, I think. Yeah. Like, especially when you walk. Yeah, like the V-tape is way more.
Yeah, your arms are really long.
But you look kind of like topped up. You know?
Topped up. My legs have completely disappeared.
Are they? I mean, they're still good. It's still big.
Yeah.
It's not like huge.
Yeah. No, it was like a fucking piece of like turkey leg.
Yeah, actually.
No, I'm happier now, to be honest.
I'm cramping.
Shut up. But I don't think I'll have those like ab resurgence.
You don't have a shit compared to me.
I can still dog you. It's so slimy.
How we doing? Alrighty, so supposedly there are a lot of you in the comment sections who are skinny and who just want more muscle. Now, before I start, I am against working out. I don't work out at all, I don't touch weights, I don't move a thing unless I need to. But I'm not against the muscles per se. Muscles are a health indicator. If you go to the gym 6 times a week, if you have to eat a bunch of carbohydrates and processed food to get muscles, then they're obviously not a health indicator. What makes muscles a health indicator is you not having to work out that often to have them. The magic and why I feel so good with my physique is because I hardly eat anything and I maintain the frame that I have. That kind of muscle is a health indicator. Hurting your body, going to the gym 5 to 7 times a week is not a health indicator. There is something seriously wrong with you. Now, how do we actually make muscles a health indicator? Well, you have to get healthy. How do you get healthy? Most of you likely already know, but you have to eat raw animals. Make sure you are getting enough cholesterol, saturated fat, bacteria, and obviously protein. While I will give you a weight training, bulking kind of program, this will overlap very closely as a health guide because I want you guys more than anything to be healthy. The point of you watching this video is because you want muscles without really working that hard to get them. And the beauty is that you really can do this. This is the best flex you can ever have. Yo, do you work out? Nah, I just eat raw animal products. I assume this is where you want to be, and it's a really good place to be. So let me give you a little breakdown. Muscles reside on the mesodermal line. Skin resides on the ectodermal line. The ectodermal is essentially the skin. It is more topical, meaning it's closer to the surface, and when damaged, takes around 7 to 14 days to heal. Now, the mesodermal is deeper. It is mostly your muscles, and when damaged, take 7 to 21 days to heal. So if you get a cut or a burn on your skin, this will take 7 to 14 days to heal. When you damage your muscles, obviously depending on the severity, this may take 7 to 21 days to heal. What I'm essentially trying to say is the damage that you cause to your muscles and the recovery needed afterwards is much, much longer needed than people actually think. Even people who go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week will start damaging their hormones. The reason you start damaging your hormones when you exercise is because you're damaging your body. When you're awake, you're already in a catabolic state. The second you wake up, your body is eating itself. When you go to the gym, your body is eating itself for energy far more than it is when you're just in a resting state. I'm sure we can all get behind this. Your body, after experiencing inflammation and damage, will secrete testosterone. It will take it out of the brain, out of the tissues and vital organs into the bloodstream so that it can get into the muscles because you caused the damage in the first place. This is why I always talk against going to the gym, because you're consistently, usually daily, chronically pulling testosterone out of the organs it needs to be in, so you will get sick more often. You will not be able to have erections. You will feel more anxious. You will feel more depressed because you're cutting your testosterone in half. This is not a good thing. But as we know, testosterone is also very anabolic. That's why it's trying to heal the catabolic state you just put yourself in by going to the gym. But if we want to be intelligent about this and use testosterone to build muscle, well, this is exactly how you do it. Testosterone is made out of cholesterol, which is found in saturated fats. Cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone. Without cholesterol, you cannot make testosterone. Without cholesterol, you cannot make most of your sex hormones, so make sure you're consuming a lot of eggs and beef liver. So now that you know what testosterone does and how it can be utilized, let's be very smart about this approach. I don't want you guys training all the time. I don't want you guys killing yourselves in the gym, taking off years of your life. And the reason exercise takes off years of your life is because you are eliciting an adaptation. Adaptations in of themselves take off years of your life because you need more resources and more food. You need to metabolize more so that you can successfully make the adaptation. And all animals that eat more will die sooner. You can call this the rate of life theory. And I'm convinced this is far less than a theory because using my own eyes, people who do eat, whether it be bodybuilders, gym goers, obese people, they're all obese, do die sooner. So we don't want to be taking off too many years of our life, but we still want muscles. Well then, Tiago, what's the actual approach? The approach is what I like to call, what am I going to call this? The raw boy regime. Oh yeah. I don't know. Do we like that? I'll work on it. The raw boy regime, oh, it's got a ring, will consist of you going to the gym once a week. Once a week, okay? What you will do in this session is compound movements. I want you guys, and for the 17% of women watching out there, maybe girls, compound movements. Now, I've trained for 10 years in the past. Too long. But the wisdom and the experience I've garnered from training this long is that in natural lifters, compound movements will always elicit a more hypertrophic response. Hypertrophy just means growth, meaning if you want to grow more, you will do compound movements. They are more taxing and they tax the nervous system, meaning you can't do them too often. That's why I also said once a week. But they don't elicit hypertrophy in a local area. Think doing bicep curls, right? Oh my God. But you do them enough and you feel a burn in the local area. Compound movements stimulate hypertrophy from a hormonal response, meaning your testosterone, all your other sex hormones are pushed into the bloodstream towards your muscles because compound movements, since they are more strenuous, you have caused more damage. So the response from your body to heal itself is far more intense. This in of itself isn't a bad thing. This is your body trying to recover itself. So you want to assist its recovery in eating foods high in cholesterol, high in saturated fats, because since these are precursors to testosterone, you want to give it all the hormones it needs so that your hypertrophic response, is out of this world. So you're not going for the burn. You also don't even need to feel sore the next day, though if you go pretty hard, I'm sure you will. Simply a couple sets of compound movements once a week will be more than enough to stimulate this anabolic response. And since we now know the mesodermal takes 7 to 21 days to heal, you will only come back to the gym when you feel stronger and ready. Now, I know that sounds vague. You will need to learn a little bit of body English. How do you feel? How is your grip strength that day? Do you feel weirdly energetic? Do you feel more powerful that day? These are all little questions you have to ask yourself before you make the decision when to get back into the gym for your next weekly session. Alrighty, so now let's get into the specifics. What exercises can you do? How would you structure this plan so that you get the best response? Any sort of squat, it could be front squat, it could be hack squat, some sort of hinging movement, deadlift, hip thruster, Romanian deadlift. This is a great way to start. You don't need too much of this. 2 sets of this. See, it's nothing. 2 sets of 6 to 10 reps. The reason I say 6 to 10, and if any bodybuilders are watching this, they'll be like, well, do you have to do 12 to 15 reps for optimal hypertrophic Hey, chill. In natural humans, not roided up junkies or insecure bodybuilders, need to get bigger, need to get stronger. These things are correlated. Your muscle size and your muscle strength. This rep range of 6 to 10 hits both of them in the most optimal ways. Anything less than 6, you're hyper focusing on strength, which is more of a skill anyways. And anything more than 10, it's just becoming a bit more cardio. And again, we're trying to take off as much stress off the heart as possible because we don't want to enlarge our hearts, we want to enlarge our muscles. The reason we want to avoid cardio and not enlarge our hearts, the heart, like a muscle, when exposed to exercise, breaks down. Rebuilds again with scar tissue, and now the heart is bigger. The problem with the heart relative to other muscles of the body is that when the heart now beats, it beats stronger, pushing more blood against the arteries. This is more pressure against the arteries, and this is a blood pressure issue. Once your heart is too big, you can't really fix, and you can't train your arteries. This is how heart attacks happen. So please, for the sake of your heart, stay in the 6 to 10 rep range. We then move on to upper body, because I'm sure lots of you want, which for the guys watching, I'm sure you love this. Compound movements are going to be mostly calisthenics. So we can do dips. My personal favorite is ring dips. I used to love this. You can go super deep. Pull-ups, chin-ups, whatever fucking grip. Do the one that you can put the most weight on. Once you get strong enough with calisthenics, you then start adding weight to these. Because you can only progress so much when it comes to calisthenics before you start doing, 30 repetitions, which again is just cardio. Why? Same logic applies. You want to remain in this 6 to 10 rep range, but the only way to do this with calisthenic movements, which are the movements I mostly recommend for upper body, is to find a leather weight vest, I don't know what you guys call these, or a chain belt, and add 10 to 15 pounds, 5 pounds, and continuously work yourself up. At one point I was having 125 pounds. You don't need to add 125 pounds to gain muscle. I could have looked the same lifting less than half of that. And for upper body, we're going to do 3 sets. The reason we're going to do 3 sets instead of 2 is because the muscles of the upper body are smaller. They have more of a concentration of type 1 muscle fibers, meaning they're a little bit better suited for endurance. And they're going to need a little bit more volume just to grow. If you do one crazy set of deadlift and you feel gas after, that may be all you need for the week. But I don't want you guys to kill yourselves like that. I just want you guys to do 2 sets of 6 to 10 reps in an area that challenges you. So how I would gauge how much weight and stress you need, what I use is rate of perceived exertion. I'm not there with you. I don't know how strong you are. I don't know how much weight you can lift. I don't know what you're comfortable under. But like in most of my videos, listen to your senses. How heavy does the weight feel? How many reps do you think you can do? Now, the rate of perceived exertion is a scale from 1 to 10. My recommendation is to go to an RPE of 7. So what this means on the RPE scale is that you leave 3 reps in the tank. Any more than this, you're stressing yourself out too much, you could cause some sort of injury. And this goes the same for both lower body and upper body. When you're doing your sets, do an RPE of 7, meaning leave around 3 reps in the tank. If you leave 4, if you leave 2, that's fine, but just keep it in your head as a rough measurement to where you want to stop your sets. Now, back to the upper body. 3 sets, because we need a little bit more volume for the upper body, of 6 to 10 reps. Again, I love this rep range, and this rep range forces you to start progressively overloading. You need to progressively overload so that you build muscle. If you always stay doing pull-ups at 25 additional pounds, and you do this for 3 months, you're a pussy and you suck shit. You need to add more weight. The same goes for squat and deadlift. This is why I recommend going to the gym once a week. This gives you enough recovery so by the time you're in the gym, you come back and you will always be stronger. So as a summary, I want you to do 5 sets in total. Choose any of these exercises. So you can do 1 set of deadlift, 1 set of squat, you can do 1 set of Romanian deadlifts, 1 set of front squats, 2 for your lower body, and 3 for your upper body. And then mix and match with 3 sets for whatever upper body exercises. I do recommend calisthenics, but you could also do bench press, you could also do overhead press, you could do a barbell row, but keep the 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps consistently overload so that there is some deal of stress on your muscles. And this is a very minimalist approach. If you feel that you need to do maybe 1 more set because you're anxious and you're very insecure, then fine, do 1 more set. If you feel like you need to do 1 more or even 1 less set of upper or lower body, then do that as well if your focus is to get a stronger upper body. That makes sense. You can add more resources to the parts of your body which you want to build. But do not ignore the fact that we are trying to find hypertrophy from a hormonal standpoint, meaning you need to work your entire body. CrossFit movements like muscle ups, snatches, and power cleans are also very good at this. But again, this is a template. I want you guys to think for yourselves and be able to adjust this wherever you need. Add or take away an extra set, just understand the fundamentals of natural bodybuilding, which are focus on recovery, focus on incredible nutrition, make sure to focus on a 6 to 10 rep range count, and elicit hypertrophy as a hormonal response. And that's the raw boy regime. Now, on my food guide video, we talked mostly about longevity and how to live as long as possible. Longevity and health are correlated. I don't see anything of a difference. But when we are growing, we do need growth hormones. We do need growing nutrients. That is the only time I recommend different dietary needs, unless you're sensitive or compromised, for optimal health. Meaning, if you're a young guy, wants to get in the gym, wants to get big, I want you to focus on secreting hormones like insulin, testosterone, insulin growth like factor 1, and human growth hormone. What are the foods that are going to do this? Oh, did I fuck it? That is a horrendous pyramid. Now, the concern here isn't longevity, it's muscle building. The best food for muscle building is going to be raw fucking milk. The fatter the animal, the better. The reason is raw milk is incredible at spiking your insulin. And insulin is what you need for growth, along with these other hormones. Human growth hormone isn't present, it's bovine growth hormone. And in the past video I said this isn't entirely absorbable by the body. Not very well, but still is. Now, the animals you can get this from: cow, goat, if you have sensitivities because it's A2 protein. A2 is very helpful for people who are acne prone or who find that they have reactions to A1 cow milk. You can also get A2 cow milk. This comes from Guernsey cows and Jersey cows. So if you have sensitivities to regular cow milk, A1, then make an effort to try and find A2 so that you can still drink raw milk. You work out, but you don't break out in acne, especially if you're hormonally sensitive. You can also do this with goat, but I find goat milk a little more expensive. You can do this with sheep, which is also A2, and then buffalo, which is sometimes what I drink. Now, what's the difference between these milks? The difference in these milks is going to be the fat percentage. Goats have around 3 to 4%, as do cows. Cows sometimes have 5%, but that's usually only cows in winter. Sheep have 6 to 7.5%, and then buffalo has 8 to 10%. The fatter that you can get the milk is going to be much better for you. The reason is because the combination of fats and carbohydrates in milk spike insulin and growth hormones like no fucking other. And if you're trying to get anabolic and you're growing, then you're going to need, ideally, buffalo milk. But it is harder to source and it is expensive. If you want to do this, do your work, I believe. As the second tier, we have everything in my last video was in the first tier. And then you fuckers and your eggs. Eggs, yes, obviously eggs. When I mean muscle meat, all kinds of muscle meat. Fish, your mother. Eggs, I also mean all kinds of eggs. Duck, chicken, emu. If you are growing, you may want to take more organs, such as beef liver. Beef liver has an abundance of vitamin A, and you need vitamin A to grow. People who look ugly, who have recessed chins and small skulls, this comes from a lack of vitamin A. Vitamin A is growth, and if you're growing, it is in your best interest to focus on vitamin A foods like eggs, like beef liver, and some muscle meat. You also want to be eating enough muscle meat because you are trying to build your muscles. And do your best to eat raw muscle meat because raw muscle meat carries a lot of creatine. Creatine, while also helps your brain, is very good to keep on size on your muscles. Raw equals free creatine, basically. You don't have to buy that shitty powdered supplement. And then finally, once you have these two, you hardly have to worry about this. This is only an extra supplement. Maybe things like starches. And by starches, I mean sweet potatoes, yams, root vegetables, and tubers, if you guys know what I mean. And fruits. A little bit of fruits made a workout. One of the best workouts I had actually was when I had a plate of mangoes and oranges while I was outside in the sun. I never felt so good and so strong while training. So again, treat this final tier like almost not necessary, but if you want to, maybe 10 to 15%. Now, the second tier is obviously still essential. I might put this at 40% of your dietary intake. And finally, the most important, I'd probably put this at around 80%. Thiago, that's a lot of milk. Yes, this is not a longevity guide. This is people trying to grow. And the people who are the tallest and the biggest drink lots and lots of raw milk. This isn't ideal for longevity, but if you're gonna get big, this is gonna be the fastest fucking way. You better believe it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, take care.